I'm not gonna lie. I was really, really feeling this. It's something about Ashley that is very genuine.
Well, she is giving down home feels, you know what I
Yes,
mean?
East Coast vibes,
yes,
for real.
Yes, and that's what I like about her. She just feels very chill, very herself, very demure.
Oh my God, she does though. Hey my loves, welcome back to our channel. Thank you so much for joining me again. I'm your girl Intisar Eleanor. This is my beautiful husband Joseph.
Hey.
And this is the Conner's Couch. You can call me Zar if you're new here, okay? Because we cousins or whatever the case may be. But we are talking today about Love is Blind. I'm super excited about this, honey. I want to show you guys what my husband bought us, okay? If you guys are watching us, we got cups.
We got the Love is Blind.
We got the Love is Blind cups.
Well, actually, I don't even want to call them the Love is Blind cups. Let's call them every love show, reality TV show cup. This we're just good.
What did you make?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Joe be doing stuff. Joe is the mixologist in the house, and I'm the cook.
Yeah, sometimes I just throw stuff together.
The other night, we really didn't feel like cooking. We got some terrible news. And but we also didn't want to order out. We had butter chicken from Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
In the fridge. But if you guys haven't had it yet, it only comes in one serving. And I thought it would be enough for the both of us. And it wasn't. And I had like baked chicken, like a whole chicken, like a couple nights before. Joe went into full on chop mode and combined the chicken that I made and the chicken in the pack, and we had like a whole meal, y'all. I said, oh, okay, sir.
Because I used to do that all the time in my bachelor days. Like, I just had to spruce up regular stuff. You know what I mean? I wasn't like making nothing from scratch. So yeah. I would just make stuff multiply or spruce up stuff that I bought that came in a bag or whatever. And Trader Joe's actually has really good, which we'll get to it, but one of the best questions that I heard anybody ask on a date on these shows is, what's your favorite Trader Joe's snacks? Because Trader Joe's has actually really good frozen food, because we typically don't even buy frozen fruit.
Yeah, we don't.
Trader Joe's is really good. They have really good stuff. So
they have really good stuff. It's really annoying too, because now I'm like a frozen food baddie. If Joe knows for years, it's not something that I would touch. Like, I'm like, no, we got to make it from, scratch. But my baby hooked it up. I was like so freaking impressed. So shout out to Joe for taking care of us always, but specifically that night. So let's dig on in to Love is Blind. If you guys are here and you're watching this new season, then you all know Love is Blind right now is in Washington, D.C., the great DMV area. Which, how do you feel about that?
I love it. I mean, I love Chocolate City. We call it Chocolate City.
Oh, do we?
I love Chocolate City. I love this cast got a lot of brown in there. Even the whites got brown. Which we'll get to that too. So I think it's a great place. I think it's a great place for shows like this for people who are, because I think it's going to be a good batch of people. It's one of those places that just got a good batch of people, both men and women, white, black, Indian, Asian.
Yes.
It just has a good
and successful people.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I like
successful people. They have like a really high GDP as well as economy when it comes to jobs and everything like that. So I'm actually really excited to see how these people kind of mesh together. But it's so many things about the dating scene now, and we really want to have, like, in the future, we really want to have a segment where we just talk to singles about, like, what's going on in the dating, pond, and how are you guys faring? Because we are admittedly a bit detached. So sometimes when people come to us and talk to us about whatever they're going through, sometimes Joe and I are a bit like, this is childish. You know what I mean?
Most of the time. The truth is,
we will talk to each other like, can you believe they're going through this, or this is silly, or whatever the case may be. And in order to keep us hip and with the times, you know, we need to be making sure and we're reaching out and talking to y'all and chatting with y'all. So make sure you guys, if you guys have something that you want to chat about, you all need to be following us at Joe and Zar on Instagram and TikTok and everywhere else. And really just DM us. Let us know. Ask us a question. If you want to come on and chat, also tell us that, because we want to chat with you too. So I want to get started, and let's dig on into Love is Blind. The way we're going to do it this time around, we're just going to do couples. We're just going to go by couples. You know what I mean? Like, it's too much fodder in the pods.
Well, I mean, and honestly, the way that they've shot it this season, you can tell they're like projecting who the couples are going to be
immediately.
So even when before they are actually formed, you only get in camera time. The singles that are getting camera time are singles that are eventually going to be in couples anyway. There's not many singles that are on here that got camera time that didn't end up in a coupling, except for the one weird guy and the one Leo and Brittany. Outside of that, everybody else, it's not that many other people to talk about other than the couples.
The other thing I was wondering if you thought, you know, when we think about how this is kind of like put together and produced. So my thing is, like, I am like a hopeless romantic, and well, I wouldn't call myself a hopeless romantic, but I love romantic comedies and things about romance and stories about romance. So when I watch,
isn't that a hopeless romantic?
Maybe. I don't understand what hopeless. When I think of hopeless romantic, I think of stupid. To me, that's a little bit synonymous, and I'm no dummy.
Honestly, I don't know what it means.
That's what I mean, y'all. What does hopeless romantic mean?
I don't take it as that. I just take it as romantic. Like a romantic person, in a sense of somebody who loves love. I don't take it as the neck, because you could take it. Somebody could take it as you stupid.
Right, right.
So I honestly, I don't. It depends on how you receive it. I don't know.
So y'all bust down. Let us know what the hell y'all think a hopeless romantic is, because I might just be messing this up. But I love love. So I do love, and I'm excited to see people fall in love. And I think the way that they shoot this kind of felt like a one night stand, and not like in the beginning, like we're going on these dates in real time with these people, but it also felt, and rightfully so, very chopped up, like very fast to get to the couple.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm trying to get to your point. Like, it felt like we kind of just dived into who was going to be with who.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we got that, like, and we probably couldn't, so this is no fault on them. But for me, I don't feel like we got that slow burny kind of like, ooh, tingly, tingly, tingly. Like, I'm excited about this.
No, we didn't. We didn't really get much of people as individuals. From the rip, it seemed like they jumped into who's going to be in a love triangle, who's going to be in a couple. Like, you can kind of see it happening. You know what I mean? So we really don't. In the beginning, it's hard to really, when you don't develop these people, these characters, it's hard to have feels for people who are in couples. You know what I mean? It's hard to get the tingly feeling, because it just happens. It just happens like that.
Yeah.
The way that they're showing it. So I think it's really an anomaly at this point when you do get to feel something, which we do. It's one couple that I feel like they kind of gave some of the feels, but even that was just fast. It just felt fast.
It just felt fast. So let's dig on in. So I'm just going to go by like key characters and storylines. So let's start with Alex and Tim. Okay, this is a brown couple. And I also think what's happening here, guys, is that we are seeing a resurgence in reality TV where they are centering Black stories. So if you think about Love Island, the last 3 winners have been Black couples.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Love Island USA, Love Island UK were both black dark-skinned couples. And then the previous year, I believe Love Island, one of the most popular couples that came out of Love Island UK was Whitney and her man, and they were a mixed race couple, but she's a black woman. Okay. So I do think there's like a bit of a resurgence there with black stories and how they're told specifically around love. And I'm kind of excited about this because this cast is giving brown like this.
I mean, even the whites it got some black.
Child, don't get me started. So,
yes, it is. It is giving it.
Alex and Tim. Tim is a web content strategist. He's a Virgo, male. Everybody, hold your gasps. He shares deep emotional ties to his family. He was one of 3. Both of his sisters are no longer with us, which is really sad.
Crazy.
It's really crazy, specifically because he's also the only boy. Alex, on the other hand, is a thick baddie, okay? She initially appears to be a good match for Tim. I really like their banter and how they go back and forth. He shared so much of his journey with the loss of his sisters and grieving and everything with her. And I'm kind of like excited to see where they go. But something is there that that's just not settling right with my stomach.
I mean, off the face of it, they are a couple who I wouldn't be surprised if they, eventually give people the tingly vibes, the tingly feelings. It's nothing against interracial couples. It's just something about a couple that you can tell just cut from the same cloth and they vibe different.
Yeah.
And so I get that with Alex and Tim, and so it's I could just tell right off the bat the lingo, the culture, like it's just something about it. When you see it, it just gives it's just a different vibe. You know what I mean? And so it was good to see. They ended the joint with some kind of preview on some type of drama. I don't really know, where that's going, so I'm not even going to try to put that on them.
We're going to talk about this though. So let's take a step back. The chemistry there is really palpable, which I do love. You know what I mean? So it was good because I was feeling it.
Yeah.
And I was like really excited for them. They had done like a paint and sip. They did like a paint and sip, I guess, in the pods. And she drew a bee, which she is very talented because that bee looked amazing. And then he drew a bird and a bee, which I also thought was like an ode to how they were talking to each other early on, or how they were identifying one another. And I was really, really into it. Like, I'm like, okay, y'all, we vibing, or whatever the case may be. He is a Virgo male. Can't remember what sign a Leo, I think she said she was. So the thing about it is, this is really a fascinating pair because somebody has to be in control. And Leo women are very, very good at controlling things. And Virgo men, in his words, are an immovable object. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I think that we get a little bit of that just based on, even in the pods, he said something about his dog. I gotta go get my dog. And she was like, okay, enough of that. Like, enough. And it's reoccurring throughout them going to Cabo and everything like that. And I kind of felt like, honey, don't. First of all, I think it's fun and banter to be like, ooh, don't say that. You know what I mean? Or like, oh, that's weird. Never say that again, because we do it all the time. Mm. But there comes a point where somebody feels like you're infringing on who they are as a human. And
I could tell that that's happening. And this is not the only couple on this season that's happening to. And I don't love when that happens. You have to ease up on people that you have just met, because they are, one, still getting to know your sense of humor, your delivery, your rhythm, your cadence. So you can say stuff like, have you ever been in a situation where you just start talking to a person, you like this person, you could tell this person like you, but every now and then they say something and you don't know like what to do with your hands. Like, is this a joke? Is it like, you know what I mean? And it can get into these uncomfortable moments, especially when they repeat. And she is doing this thing where she's constantly snuffing him out, Like, stop, don't do that. I don't like that. So, you know what I mean?
And at first cringe a little bit.
Yeah, because at first it's like a cutesy, playful thing. But then it's like, are you telling him not to, like, just kind of be playful or be him? Or what's the joke? Like, I don't understand what, you know what I mean?
And I do think there's a space, right? Like, I love Black women who are strong and in their identity. And she is just really such a beautiful woman. But sometimes, and I'm going to get beat up for that. I'm going to just say it. Sometimes we come off real assertive, and the assertive can be eaten up and digested as aggression, and we can't pretend like it's not. And it could be, and we could keep it 100. It could be based on societal standards, which is fine, but part of it is based on the fact that you're just coming off aggressive. And I'm not saying that you need to conform or anything like that. I'm saying that the art of finesse begins with reading the room. And reading the room begins with reading the room. And I feel like to get to him and vice versa, they are trying to be their single selves versus what it would look like if they were in a relationship. Because in a relationship, you wouldn't be like constantly coming at somebody like, don't do that. I don't like that. Because if the wheels were reversed, would you like that? If everything was like on the other side and he's telling you how to speak and don't say that, or I don't like that, would you like that? You wouldn't want to change that, right? And inversely, what he's saying is harmless. He didn't even say nothing big deal to me that right. I felt like even warranted some of this. Or even with the hat. They were out in Cabo and he put on a hat and she just was like, I just hate your style. Like she said, and I felt like that was such a big thing to say to someone you're just meeting.
I'm so glad that you said this and I didn't have to.
Why you said that?
Because y'all don't keep the same energy when stuff is delivered from men versus women.
I do.
No, I say y'all.
Oh.
Y'all don't keep the same energy.
I thought it was a lot.
Everybody has a problem if they're, don't label me as aggressive or angry or blah, 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 when you're doing things that are coming off as aggressive.
And you really may not be in like actually aggressive.
Right, because listen to the words that I chose. When you're doing things that come off as aggressive, right? Then, but if a man say it, everybody's up in arms and blah, 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 blah.
And it comes off offensive. The problem is that now he has to interpret what you say as whether or not you playing is playful or are you being
also,
serious.
If you don't know this person, you don't know how to receive that. Right. So you don't and as the person who's delivering it, it's even more reason to be careful because you don't know where their bar of sensitivity is.
Exactly.
And y'all know my middle name is Mr. Keep the Same Energy. If that was a man saying all that, everybody would have an issue with it. You know, I hate your style. Like, imagine a man who you're just meeting says to you, I hate your style. You would never have to explain why it's problematic if it was a man. And that'd be my frustration with so many of y'all, especially in the Twitterverse, where like, I just be wanting to say to y'all, imagine the roles be reversed. Then you would understand why somebody like me, who's just like, I just want you to keep the same energy, has a problem with that, right? I just didn't like that. Even the thing with the hat, like I didn't like that. Either. Constantly saying like, oh, don't do that. Like if this was a man, y'all would be like, oh, I don't like how he talking to her.
You're absolutely correct. And this is not an indictment on Alex because y'all going to be hooting and hollering ready.
No, because this is a bigger thing and it's going to be a running thing because I'm going to tell y'all now I got a battery in my back about it. Because she just brought up the Love Island thing. I'm going to forever have a battery in my back about it because it's a prime example of people not keeping the same energy because and some of y'all.
They're past it. They're in a happy relationship.
No. It's not about them. It's about the fact that if the roles were reversed, somebody making the comment of, I don't love how Serena treated Cordell, right? If the roles were reversed, no one would have an issue with it. People had an issue with that. You know what I'm saying? Which if you watch the show, you can understand why that's not a big epiphany. But my issue with it is if the roles were reversed, it wouldn't be a controversial sentence to say, I don't like how Serena treated Cordell. Just think if the roles were reversed, no one would have an issue with it. And so I think similar to this, my issue was always like, if the roles were reversed, y'all would not like that. Keep it 100. You just would not.
And I think, and I want to be clear, because and you tell me if I'm wrong, there's this thing about equality, right? Like, I think that we are separate but equal. And I think if we want people, specifically men, to come back and really harness what they said was their original role as protectors and providers, we have to understand our separate role as well. You know what I mean? And roles for everybody is different and everything like that. But I do think that sometimes we have these conversations and we lack the finesse to do it. Mm-hmm. I think that everything that Alexandria said, there was a way that she could have said it and got a better outcome from him. Because as a Virgo, you only got about 2 or 3 times to talk to me in your kind of way. Ask my husband.
Especially if I don't know you.
Oh God, especially if I don't know you. Not only that, because, and I'm not going to say here a real one because we got to keep it 100. Virgo men are terrorists. The truth of the matter is, he told you how he was. That's what's scary. So let's set up their, I guess, tiff. Now, the truth of the matter is, these two look amazing together. I do not care if I saw them on the street. I would think, "Ooh, yes, love y'all down."
They look like they're together.
That y'all is together, okay? Love y'all down. I think y'all baddies. You got thick thighs. He got thick thighs. Let's get through it, okay? This is what I think happened. This is my, just from my observation. The guys are sitting down and everybody's saying why they chose their spouse with the girls. And we had King T'Challa come through. What's his name, babe? Steven. Okay. We had King T'Challa come through and talk about Monica. And then we had Ramses talk about Marissa. And then I feel like we sat down with Tim, and he may not have had all the words, coupled with the fact that she may be overwhelmed by this process, which she said that she was. She's overwhelmed and she just completely shuts down and the energy shifts. And this is something that you learn, you know what I mean? So the energy shifting, she'll learn not to do that or to, finesse that moving forward. She shuts down with him though. So the whole time he's trying to figure out like, what is going on? Like, what is your problem? What is your problem? This spirals into an argument with one another. And he's trying to figure out what's going on. She physically puts her hand over his mouth, which bothered him. He's quiet. Then he said, we'll speak. That bothered her, obviously. And now they're at an impasse and he ends up sleeping somewhere else. Now, this man has begun the process of shutting down, which is unfortunate because he literally tells her, which I think is childish, but we'll talk about this too. He literally tells her like, well, at this point, based on last night's interaction, I was ready to go home. Which was not a bit immature, which was immature. Full stop. But I do feel like this was bubbling. This whole interaction had been bubbling. Like, even when he said the dog thing, she was cutting him off the whole time. Like, don't say, all right, not again. I will get up from this table. Not again. And I'm just like, what's all this?
The truth of the matter is, I don't even think that even bothered him because she had been doing that. And just like the other guy, Steven, I think his name is, he just kind of been, you could tell he had just been rolling with it. I think this is why I don't like when people do these things, because they do them on other shows too, where they have people, openly confess your love to me, right? It's really just a pageantry type thing, right? And in every situation, in every case, whoever's the best orator in the room is going to win. It doesn't necessarily mean that that person is the most in love, or that person has the best relationship or whatever, or that person is the best partner. It just means they have the best mouthpiece. Everybody has different talents. And speaking, especially public speaking, is not everybody's strong suit. And so when they do these things, a lot of times the people who aren't the strong public speakers get the short end of the stick, and people look at them like, oh, you must don't really love her like that because they're not eloquent. And you know what I mean?
And it's also been 10 days.
Not only that, but it's been 10 days.
Right.
The other aspect of it that I don't like is that the truth of the matter is, a lot of times when these things happen, it just is in the spirit of competition, right?
Yes.
I don't think her upsetness really has less to do with him and more to do with the other women's men sounded better than him.
If we're going with my theory.
And I'm going with the theory.
Yes.
The other women's men sounded better than him. And she was in her feelings about it. You know what I mean? This is not, and I'm saying that not because I think I know Alexandria so well. I'm saying it because I've seen this on these shows.
Yeah, we've seen it time and time again.
Many times.
Yeah,
they're just embarrassed that they didn't win the couple wars.
Exactly.
Which is why I don't like when these couples meet too early, because you cannot be locked in after 9 days of talking to this person through a goddamn wall. When you get around all these other people and all this other energy and then people who you used to talk to and all of this weird energy, you can't be locked in. So it's setting the stage for fracturing of a relationship because y'all haven't even had time to build a foundation.
Well, how do you feel about him? They did have a little disagreement, and I'm saying little because I actually believe I believe this whole conversation in the spectrum of life and the spectrum of relationship, not even life, relationship is small. How did you feel about him saying to her that not only was this grounds for him to leave, but he also wasn't even sure that he was going to move back into the room with her?
I didn't feel any type of way about it, only because it's single speech. Like when people come into these scenarios, they're coming in, especially 9-10 days in, they're coming in as their single selves. Especially on shows like this where there is no Dr. Pepper or Pastor Cow to really ease them in, to check them, to make sure, are you ready for this? Whoopty whoop. So they jumping in and they flying by the seat of their pants. And so these initial arguments and discussions and impasses most of the time are met with people operating from their single mindset. Oh, I'll just leave. We've seen it 1,000 times. You know what I mean? Over time, if they really like each other and they're committed to the process, they'll get past that, which this ain't gonna be the first time that we see somebody say, I'm just ready to go home. I just want to leave.
It won't be.
So I think that as you grow to know the person, respect their feelings and their boundaries, I think we'll see less of that with this couple and other couples. Because I think, honestly, there's a couple strong couples on here, which is not something that I feel like we usually say.
Do you feel like they're one of them?
I do. I feel like they can be.
I think that they can be.
Yeah. So, I feel like this is just growing pains.
I do too. And I think that it's growing pains. It's anxiety. Like imagine being filmed all day. You tired. You hot.
And the truth of the matter is,
you're drunk.
They in the middle of a lawsuit because these past casts.
Don't say that.
It's public knowledge. I can say it. It's public knowledge. They're in the middle of a lawsuit because there's a class action suit from prior cast members about them having long film days and not getting fed, only getting fed alcohol, not getting fed food. That's why if y'all pay attention, y'all see them filming food. They film food constantly in the first couple episodes. Go back and watch. We've never seen so much food on set of Love is Blind. It's because of the lawsuit. You can Google it. It's public information.
But my thing is that there is something going on with black men, specifically black men. And this might be because I'm paying more attention to it because it's black men. You guys let me know. But there is something going on with black men and their conflict resolution skills where they think in their mind that their absence is the way to resolve an issue versus just resolving the issue.
It's definitely a thing, and it's fight or flight. You know what I mean? I could speak through it from being a single black man and having that mindset where people tell you, you need to remove yourself. And especially as a single person in a situation like this where you don't really know this other person, right? You don't really have any loyalty to this other person at this point in your mind. So you still have to grow to the point where you're adjusting to respecting their feelings and their boundaries and all of this other stuff. You're told you need to remove yourself because you can't react in the same way that anybody else would react and it be taken the same way, right? Because if his name is Billy Bob and he yells and screams or he's engaging in an argument, it's going to be seen very different as if he's Tim, black man, 250 pounds on TV, in the real world, everywhere. So you immediately think, I just need to remove myself from the situation as a safety thing, as a fight or flight thing. You know what I mean? So it is a running theme, and it's just not surprising to me.
It's not surprising, but I do think not even an issue. This is an opportunity for growth. I feel like we need to, and it could be the idea that Black men growing up may not be afforded a safe space to be sad, hurt,
or react,
disappointed.
You can't raise your voice. You can't have emotion. I mean, this is how most Black men that I know operate. I just had a conversation with a Black man about going through some stuff who felt like he's not even allowed to show emotion. So this is a running thing. And
this is, I was talking to somebody about this earlier. What I think this is the relationship that women have with other women, we actually have conflict with one another. From time to time, everybody's had a girlfriend that they had to, check or talk to about something or whatever the case may be. So we're more used to being in loving relationships and settling conflicts than I think men are. And I think that and not because men aren't in conflict, but because they handle it so differently. Mm-hmm. You ain't gonna be mad at your man friend and then crying to him about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where a woman would do that with her female friend. And I think that creates a certain amount of emotional maturity.
And most time, if you're in conflict with your man friend, you don't even really talk about it. Y'all just go out for a beer afterwards.
And you're annoyed. Yeah. You just like, I'm just moving on from this. But that's not okay. Either.
It's yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that what we're seeing is, while we're watching these shows, is that now we're seeing these patterns of emotional immaturity. And then in his mind, the scariest thing about Tim is that in his mind, he thinks he's doing the right thing.
Well, you do. I mean, you're right until you're wrong. Right? So as a single man, I'm sure I was told, I can speak from a personal place. I was told by my parents, if you think a situation is turning up and you in the presence of a woman, leave. Like that was my instruction as a young man. So I'm sure he's been told something similar, right? And so especially when you don't know this woman, you're thinking, I need to get out of here, right?
But what does that even mean? Because I think the issue with that statement is that, have you not given this human the tools to communicate effectively?
It's not about, from a parent's perspective, it comes from a place of fear, right? If the cops show up and it's a Black man in the room with anybody else, the Black man is going down. That's where it came from, from a place of fear from my parents. It was the same way where they told me, if you get pulled over, put your hands on the wheel, say yes, sir, no, sir, blah, 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 right?
And I think it's
coming from the same place.
I think that there is some validity to that. And I think the problem is that intrinsically what we're teaching our children to do is operate out of fear in conflict.
Yes.
And that's the problem, right? So then fear in conflict grows to be abandonment.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to abandon my spouse and then call it, well, I'm doing you a favor.
Yeah.
What? Like, control yourself. It would never escalate to that if you controlled yourself and I control myself.
And it's also just a maturation, a place for maturation as far as communication, because also there's no problem with needing space and needing to calm down.
Oh, no,
you just have to communicate that. So that's another thing that is just a misstep in some of these instances where some of these men are just wanting space to calm down, but they're not communicating that. And so they're at fault mainly just for not communicating. I just need a few minutes. I need to go walk away. I need to go for a walk or whatever, because you'll have professionals tell you, take a walk, take a breather, come back when you're both, cooler heads, blah, 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 blah. And so that's just also a place for growth and communication most of the time.
But the problem is that people weaponize, and we have to be honest about this as well. The abandonment piece is that I'm weaponizing that I'm abandoning you. You know what I mean? Now it's your fault. Look what you made me do. You made me leave.
Yeah.
Your actions made me do that. And that's what men do. And that's why it's so hard for somebody to come around and say, oh, take a few minutes. You know what I mean? Because it's not that I'm worked up. It's that you worked me up. You see how that sounds different?
Yeah. And I think that's communication too.
And that's communication as well. And I think that to put the onus on someone else because you're unable to control yourself or have an actual conversation in conflict is a you issue.
It is absolutely a you issue. And I think especially in situations like that, if we're being honest, these people don't have the tools yet. Right.
And that's okay.
And I think
that's why not too much on Tim.
And that's why when we're talking about shows that have a safeguard, they don't have like quote unquote experts on love. Right. So when we're talking about shows like Married at First Sight, a lot of times you hear us asking for more involvement from the quote unquote professionals, because being able to communicate that you need space and why you need space and why you felt like I don't want to be in this area, whatever, that is a tool. That's an ability. That's a skill, right? And that is a skill that has to be learned and taught. And most people, especially coming from their single lives, who they can do whatever they want, whenever they want to. They're not beholden to anybody. They don't have a responsibility to anybody. They need to be taught these things. And a lot of times when we see these people on TV, they do not have the tools yet to be properly communicating their feelings.
And you're absolutely correct. I do think that there's an opportunity here for Ashley, I'm calling it Ashley and Tyler, for Alex and Tim. I really, really am excited to see them move forward. And you know, because we have such longevity, we fight and argue too, y'all. You know what I mean? So I'm saying this from a space of like, we can get past this, but this is something that's persistent on both sides, how we speak to men and versus how we handle conflict. I think it's persistent through each of our communities. You know what I mean? And I think that that's something to chat about when we think about how, especially specifically black men and black women, show up in each other's lives.
And the truth of the matter is, we only get past it because we were taught the tools to. We went to therapy, we had counselors, all of the whole 9 yards. So I'm not even speaking from my higher self. I'm saying like, this is from experience. Like, had I not gone to therapy, had I not had these conversations, I would still be out like peace too. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just, that's why I give these people grace, especially these black men, because I know a lot of people they just need to be taught how to handle these situations. And unfortunately, that's not something that's taught in the home. And
unfortunately, some people are not open to it.
Yeah.
And I think we also miss that big piece as well. You know what I mean? Like, people think they're operating in a certain way and it's working for them, when in truth it's shutting you out from everyone else.
Right. Because everybody think their way is working for them when they're single. And then you ask them why you're single and it's always somebody else. Well,
I tell people this all the time. Like, when people ask me why I was single and I put like a lot of the onus on myself, they be like, damn, that's like the first time I ever heard that. And I'm like, I could be the reason why I'm single. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not always the easiest to deal with or whatever the case may be, but it is something.
But the truth of the matter is, you are the reason why you're single. You mean everyone. Like, you are the only common denominator in your relationships. So how is it? That's why it's always a red flag when I see people on TV and I see people in real life and it's always somebody else. Oh, well, I'm single because men don't act right. He ain't know how to act. No, that's not why you single, sis.
But also what this reminds me of when I ask people, like, you know, what's the difference you feel between, when people say, oh, there's no difference between married and being, you know, in a regular relationship.
That's just ignorance.
I point to things like this. You know what I mean? Like, there is absolutely a difference between these things, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's really all about you wouldn't be going to the 12th grade and still learning things that you were learning in kindergarten. So it's okay that things compound for these larger life lessons. And
you don't go into the 12th grade in September with all the tools that you have in June. So also we have to look at it through that lens as well. These people are not even married yet.
Right.
So we also have to give grace and from that standpoint of like, this is all a new space and you don't know what you're doing. Like being a parent, you ain't a parent until you're a parent.
That's a fact.
So you're going to have to learn, you know?
That's a fact. So let's talk about Taylor and Garrett. Not too much on Alex and Tim. I do think that they can push through, and I'm praying that they do, because I think they fine as hell and I want to see more of them. Let's move on to Taylor and Garrett. This is the quantum physicist. Taylor's a quantum physicist. Really fascinating man. Taylor is the girl. Garrett is the man. Garrett is so fascinating to me, y'all, because he gives supremacy. And I'm like, I don't know what about him makes me feel like he's not very open to.
Oh, this the guy who was
other cultures.
This the guy who said, "Oh, tell me your last name."
So, which I kind of was picking. Both of the interaction was weird. Yes,
is that the guy?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, so I know now. I know exactly.
So let's talk about what made me feel good about them. Taylor and Garrett were super cute. Like when I say a meet cute, They were talking. They were talking about having tattoos. He says he has the Heisenberg uncertainty theory on equation tattooed on him. He said, I have the uncertainty theory tattooed on him. And she said, Heisenberg? And he was like, yes.
Yeah.
And baby, I was done. I was like absolutely like blown away by that. I'm like, okay, are we fine? Are we seeing a meet cute in reality? Like, what is happening here? It was really, really nice to see people connect on things academically. Yeah. You know what I mean? I really love that, because when Garrett originally had his date with Brittany, and he's chatting with her, and he said that he was a physicist, and she was like, I don't even know how to spell physicist. Like, you should see how I spelled that. And then he immediately left the pause and said, that one ain't
That's
for me.
not for me.
That one, number 2, that ain't for me. You know what I mean? I appreciated that.
Me too, because too many times, this is the Love is Blind part that works. Too many times, especially men, will just overlook the silliness and the dumbness because she fine. And I think that's been Brittany's calling card. You know what I mean? Because if I can't see your face and you say some stuff like that to me, I'd be like, oh, you can't spell, I'm out.
It's not cute.
It's not cute, especially when I can't see that you're cute.
Yeah.
It's not cute. So I appreciate this part of Love is Blind is working. Like, because he just was like, I don't know. This is not funny to me. You know what I mean? This is my job. Like,
this is my job, and put some respect on my name.
And also, I'm an intellect. I can't be with a woman who can't talk to me.
Or to other people around me. Who's to say we don't go to dinners or do this or do that?
Right.
And then I'm showing up with, with all due respect, because I think that's a play, but whatever. I like Taylor a lot.
I do too.
Okay. I have a Taylor in my life, Beth Diddy. You remember Beth? That's my boo thing. My boo thing. Like, that was my girl. She reminds me of Beth. Brilliant. She is an energy consultant, okay? And they have some misunderstandings, but they really do work through these things. And it was kind of exciting to see these people really just lock in immediately.
Yeah, he was being weird in the pods a little bit, and that was annoying me.
What did you think was weird?
He kept trying to ask her last name, and he low-key was trying to figure out, like, her ethnicity and also her size, and
without asking it.
Yeah. And it's like, we are not dumb. Neither is she. Like, so stop trying to play us like, oh, tell me your last name. Like, if you ask anybody their last name, it's gonna be a big reveal, except for me. Like, it's gonna be you're not gonna know.
I think people hire me and think I'm Indian, married to a white man.
Oh, how did you painted a whole picture?
I'm telling you, because when people see me, they are always surprised. And that's not even a joke. Every time, like, I go and I'm in a meeting, they're like, oh, Intisar. Like, it's like, oh. Specifically because I work in, I work in tech. So, I'm a housewife now, but I worked in tech. So, like, a lot of engineers, you know what I mean? Everybody's, like, Middle Eastern or Indian. And then it's me. You know what I mean? Sense. Like, so then when I come in, everybody's like, oh my goodness, like, do you know, the favorite thing they like to ask me is like, do you know what your name means? Or do you like think like what? Like, but in real life, when your name tells a lot about you.
Yes.
It precedes you.
Right. So to be in a process where you're supposed to be going through it blindly. And then going through asking people their last name, it's like you're trying to cheat the system, bro.
And they're on my Conner.
You know what I mean?
So that's why they think I'm married to a white man.
Right.
You know what I
mean? But it's like most people's name is, the majority of people like name will tell you something, you know what I mean? Or you can surmise or whatever from that. So I just thought that was corny. I didn't like that he was doing that. Well, he did it a couple times and I was like, this is whack.
But I want to go back because I felt like the whole interaction was kind of weird. So she's telling a story about her mother, and he had said his parents' last name, his mother's maiden name. Or what his last name is. And then she's telling the story about her mother and everything like that. And then he says, well, what's your mother's what's her name? And she said, well, if I tell you that, then I'm going to give up.
Obviously, duh. Which he knew that. He was fully aware of that.
Oh. So do you think he clocked that she might not have been a white woman?
He did. I think he did. And I think he was on the fence about it.
I think he was a bit on the fence about it too, and it kind of gave me the ick.
Yeah.
And it also, the problem is, and the reason why it gave me the ick, because I think she's so funny. And like, she's like so good at banter, and she's beautiful, and she's smart, and you know what I mean? She's a straight shooter. And I'm like, you could really do something with this. How many girls you walk up to that know what the Heisenberg, uncertainty principle is?
The truth of the matter is, people are really hiding in the shadows. And the one thing that the Orange Man brought out some years ago was he revealed the people's true selves. And I think that when people start doing stuff like that, it's just revealing. You know what I mean? Like, because he was trying hard to see what she was. And I'm proud of her because she just pushed back on it. She was just like, no, I'm not doing it.
And it made me uncomfortable, it made me uncomfortable for her.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was...
Because you shouldn't be reduced to that.
She shouldn't have to do that, but she had to. And most people probably wouldn't have in this. With the cameras and everything and the pressure to, you want this person to like you and all of this stuff. Most people wouldn't have done that. So to me, that just gave her some more brownie points for doing that. Because most people, I think, would have just succumbed to the pressure of being like, oh, my last name is blah, blah, blah. And they just would have told them. But I think people really be out here trying to figure out, like, are you brown? Because... I'm a nice guy and everything until you got too much melanin in your skin.
It's a lot of racial undertones on this season. That's very, very fascinating.
Because he's not the only one. We'll get to that, but he's not the only one who I felt like did that.
Yeah, at all. And the truth of the matter is, if he doesn't turn into a complete, and I'm putting it on him because something about her seems more grounded than he is.
Oh, 100%. I can. Yeah.
If he doesn't turn into a complete a-hole, they could do something.
I believe that too.
We'd be cooking with gas. But the truth of the matter is, she's probably the one that's going to be the anchor here.
Yo, she would have to be.
You know what I mean? Because something about him is a bit off.
Yeah.
And by a bit off, I mean Ray J. Ashel. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, let's move on. Let's talk about Ashley and Tyler. Ashley is a baddie. And when we saw her, I said, yes, this is who I want to see on these daggone shows.
Yeah.
She is so stinking cute. And also, he is so stinking cute. And I think for two different reasons. Like, they seem like black cat golden retriever.
Yeah, I mean, I just like that. Even this is what I was talking about earlier. You could just tell they had a vibe about them. You could tell as soon as they sat down in the pods, even without seeing each other, they knew, like, oh, okay, I could chop it up with this person. So that was just fun to watch too. And then when the reveal happened, I knew he was going to be into her. I didn't think he was.
I knew anybody who saw her was going to be into her.
I knew he was going to be into, well, maybe not the previous guy.
Oh, maybe not Garrett.
Slow up.
Garrett would not have been into that.
Not at all.
Ashley is a marketing director and Tyler is an account manager. Okay, they both seem so emotionally available, which I'm kind of like in love with. What were your first thoughts about Ashley and Tyler?
I thought they are one of the couples that I think could be a strong coupling. I think that I just always feel good about the couples who are right off the back seem genuinely attracted to each other, because that's a lot of times that's people's first line of defense. You might get on my nerves, but at least you're cute, so I'm gonna give you a little more root. You know what I mean? And I think that that's really, it was promising to see. He's really into her. When he first saw her, you could just tell. And I think she's into him. So and they just gave me, like I said, in the past, they gave me good feels.
Yes, they did.
Before they even saw each other. So I think that they're one of the stronger couples here.
But he gives me committed. Like a committed human.
Like he wanna be in a relationship.
Yes.
Period.
Like he wants to be committed. He wants to work on that. And I think there's something very, not safe, but safe and secure about being with somebody who wants to be wanted.
Yeah, because that's really, the foundation for all of this. When you come on these shows, at the very least, you're coming into a situation where the person on the other side wants to be here.
Yes.
Like wants to be in a relationship. Because a lot of times, you fall into relationships sometimes. You know what I mean? And you're like, I don't even know.
No, you fall into relationships sometimes.
But but people do, people go from situationships to relationships, and it's like, y'all not really together. Y'all just was only hanging out with each other for like 3 months, and now you're just kind of in a relationship. You know what I mean? Where this is like, no, this person doesn't even know you. They're here because they want to be in a relationship. Yes.
And I think that's really exciting to see. Now, in the pods, the first episode, y'all, when I saw them, wasn't I like, oh my God, I'm feeling this? You was like, slow down.
Yeah.
Joe was like, enough, relax. But I'm not gonna lie, I was really, really feeling this. It's something about Ashley that is very genuine.
Well, she is giving, down home feels, what I mean?
Yes, East Coast vibes, for real.
Yes, and that's what I like about her. She just feels very chill, very herself. Very demure.
Oh my God, she does though. Real cutesy. Yeah, she does. Yeah. She's really, really. When they saw each other, he was so anxious. It was the cutest thing. Like you could tell he was like, okay,
because he liked her.
Yes.
Yeah. And I like to see that.
And I like to see that too. And ladies, they should like you more. See, this is my thing. You should like them a lot. So don't get me wrong. But outwardly, they should like you more. If that makes sense, what I'm saying. Like, y'all gonna like each other equally, but he should outwardly seem like he's liking you more than you like him. And that's the vibe I'm getting here.
Yeah, I get that vibe.
Winner, chicken dinner. And I kind of love that. And she's just an absolute stunner. And he says that she makes him feel safe and secure. And they're both faithful people. Which, you don't know how I feel. I think if a man want to pray for you in the beginning, it's a red flag.
She was into it. The one thing that is also a promising thing is when y'all just on the same page, period. You know what I mean? Like, it was another couple. Oh God, Zar, what's happening? It was another couple where it was already iffy. They had just got in the pods, and it was like already iffy because they were talking about how he was a MAGA and she was, and it was just like, oh, this is already gonna be rocky. Like, just get the. There's going to be obstacles in your relationship, just period, no matter who you are. But sometimes you just want to take a win where you can take a win. Y'all are in alignment on politics, religion, or whatever. Just take the win.
That's a fact. That's a good point. Because me as a woman, I was just like, ooh, I was worried for her. And that's because I've watched these shows. And these men will pray to God and be acting like the devil. You know what I mean? At the same damn time. So I just be like worried for my girls. But he just seems like such a nice human. Like it translates through the screen that he's a nice guy. So I'm excited for them. I'm excited for their love. I thought she looked so good at the pool party. I thought that outfit was so stinking cute. And they look like they're supposed to be together.
They're another couple that look like they are together. You know what I mean? And that's definitely, I think that's part of my like for the castings this season is like the pairs really look like they supposed to be together.
Yes.
And that is, part of that is just a vibe. You know what I mean? It's really not even that much the physical attributes in it. Because like at one point somebody said, I can't remember who it was, but somebody said something like, oh, we're not even... Our fits aren't really matching. We don't look like we together.
That was Big
Was it Alec?
Big Bad.
Oh, it was the other joint.
It was Hannah.
It was Hannah.
What's his name? Is his name Nick, y'all?
I don't know, but when she said it, I thought looking together is much more of a vibe between the two people than it is you having matching outfits.
And that's a fact,
and
because
if you realize
we got a group of friends. Go ahead,
yes.
if you realize that.
No, I'm saying like you realize that just being in the world, you know what I mean? Because people will tell you, we went to the coffee shop the other day. Nothing about us was color coordinated or anything.
We were in the airport.
No. It happened in the airport, but then it happened this week when we went to the coffee shop.
It did?
Yeah, because you weren't even over there. Because I was paying for the coffee.
Like he always do.
And the girl was like, oh, y'all look real cute together. You know what I mean? I was in some sweats. Shorts.
And I looked I had a scarf on my head.
But that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like a lot of times it's just a vibe. You know what I mean? We wasn't, we know couples who are very much so color coordinated all the time and don't necessarily look like they together. You know what I mean?
It's so much weird because I do think it's a vibe. Because one time we was in the airport.
It happens a lot.
It happens a lot
recently.
For us.
It happened in the airport, and then it happened this week at the coffee shop.
Oh, that's funny because I wasn't even paying attention. When I tell y'all I was a mess, I've been messed up all week, but I was specifically a mess that day. So that's nice to hear. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's palpable, and I do think, to your point, there is something that translates. The vibe, like the vibe is translated. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I wonder, and this is funny because I was thinking about this, like, I wonder if me and you would vibe.
What you mean?
Like, if I didn't know you, would I vibe with you? I think about these things all the time. Do you think about that?
At one point you didn't know me and you did vibe with me.
But it was at a point where I didn't like you too.
Of course, but
then when I started vibing with you, I was like, damn, I'm vibing.
You always vibe with me, even when you didn't like me. That's why you're here.
When you're right, Mr. Conner. So let's talk about Marissa, Ramses, and Bowden. That's the triangle, Marissa, Ramses, and Bowden, which Marissa is fascinating to me. Like,
very much so.
Because we are seeing in real time, and it is such a minor code switch. She's not overtly code switching with these two because she's code switching.
I noticed it immediately.
But it is so... What's the word I want to use? Not minor. What's the word I want to use? Like, it's a sleight of hand.
It is.
Like, it's a sleight of hand. So Marissa has a military past. She's currently a law clerk. I believe she's an attorney. Bowden was in tech sales, and Ramses let me not do him. Ramses is a nonprofit program coordinator. Mm-hmm. I hope I'm saying Ramses. I think it's Ramses.
I think it is Ramses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just want to say his name correctly. So if I'm saying it wrong, sorry, baby. But when I saw him, I immediately loved him.
I mean, they're another couple, good running theme for y'all this season, who look like they are together, even when they were not together. You know what I mean? They was in the pods, and I'm like, oh, they look like they together. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I like they vibe off the rip.
And I feel like he is light.
Yeah.
You know how some people, like, she gives light, but she also has this heavy undertone.
Heavy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by light, I mean, like, energetically. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, he keeps a light feeling to me, like airy, ethereal, where she could be ethereal, but she really is like grounded in a way. You know what I mean? And but I really, if he's the balloon, she's the anchor. Mm-hmm. And I really do love watching them. Now, I'm going to be honest. While I was watching their interactions in the pods, I thought that Bowden was going to be her choice.
I honestly thought Ramsey was going to be her choice.
I thought he was the right choice.
Yeah, and so maybe that was part of it. I thought Ramsey was going to be her choice. I felt like she was trying to contour herself into a pretzel with Bowden. The code switching, she was pouring it on a little too heavy when she was in the pods with Bowden. And if you know, you know. You know what I mean? She was doing she was adding a lot of Becky sauce. And it was just like, girl, just chill, just relax. You know what I mean? And I get that part of that is who she is. That's her identity. But with Ramses, it's a lot more chill.
It is.
Like, it's not so high-strung Becky, like a lot of extra Y's at the end of every sentence and stuff like that. Like, I just felt like she was just more relaxed, more chill, more genuine when she was with Ramses. And I thought that would eventually lead to them picking each other.
I liked Bowden separately, though, because he was also a military man, which he was a little weird, though, if I'm being honest. He was telling stories about being kicked in the chest by a camel and all this crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I've stared death in the eyes. By a camel?
Yeah, it was a little. I didn't know where he was going with that. He seems genuine though. And I respected Bowden because at one point, Marissa she peers into a little bit of her true self, where she says that she used to date a MAGA man for 3 years. And then she says, we're the same. And he was like, no, we're not the same. And it was almost like those things happened right after it, like in order.
Well,
you know what I mean?
She tells him about her relationship with this man who's a MAGA man, but they also have this conversation about what his political beliefs are. And he's just like big on like, I just believe if you work a certain amount of time,
he's not a mega man.
He is not. He's given very much not that, and made it very clear that he does not align with that. So she doesn't align with that either. And she was like,
today.
But she was like, oh, we're the same. And he was like, no, we're not the same. And what I appreciated about that was diversity is important. Diversity in thought, diversity in feeling, diversity in emotion, finance, whatever, right? I think it's so important to be different. And I think I don't think he was shading her. I think he was just like, it's okay that we're different.
I think it was a little bit of both. I do, because I think when we saw this happen in real time, I think he thought what we thought. Like, I would never date a MAGA woman.
Yeah, I would never date.
We aren't the same because you dated a MAGA man for 3 years, right? So we're actually not the same, because Bowden gives me, I would never date a MAGA woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we had, and I think he was giving her olive branch, like, so, you know, that's a different thing that we share, you know what I mean? And respect to you, but that's just not something that I would do, or I could see myself
because how do you work
doing.
Around that?
You don't work around that. And part of my hesitancy with Marissa was when she dropped that note. To me, she seems like she's a little bit of a chameleon, you know what I mean? Even just with the code switching, you know what I mean? Like, she seems like she's a little bit of a chameleon. And I think Bowden picked up on that. Like, you can just be yourself, you know what I mean? Like, we are not the same. We don't have to be the same. That's not something that because in order for you to claim, you can't claim to be like me, Bowden, and date a MAGA man for 3 years. Because in order to do that, you would have to contort yourself so much.
Yeah, or bite your tongue.
You would have to bite your tongue so much that it would have never lasted 3 years.
Yeah, for it to last 3 years.
It would have never lasted 3 years. Because if you've ever been around a MAGA man, they saying some wild shit every other minute.
And they don't even know
that they're saying it.
No, they're saying
You know what I mean? So I think that from his perspective, he's like, no, we can't be the same. You know what I mean? But respect.
But let me tell you something. Ramses is like everything to me. Like, first of all, I love Neil. His last name is Prashant, which gives Indian. So I don't know what his actual background
I think he is Indian though, isn't it?
But he daps up like he's black. So he's a person of color. He's a person of color.
But he obviously got some black in him, just like that's what I was saying earlier. Like, he obviously does.
Obviously does. And I really am, his whole vibe to me is everything, because although he seems, it really is showing, and what I love about this season is that black people are not a monolith.
Right. Because it's 10 shades of black on this season.
And 10 variations of identity.
Yeah.
And how we identify as black people, how we show up as black people, how we show up as people of color. And it's really, really beautiful to see. I love his hair. I love everything about him. And I love how excited she was to see him. Mm-hmm. Like, it was palpable. Like, when she met him, like, I'm like, oh, she like him.
Yeah, it was very much so the same vibes that I got from Tyler and Ashley. Yeah. They were you could tell that they were genuinely into each other when they saw each other. And that makes, because a lot of the meetups are very awkward. They just be sitting there. They don't know what to say.
Oh, my God. And they let that clock run. They let the film.
My God.
Like, that film don't cost.
Yeah, it'd be running way too long. But with them, it was genuine. You could tell she really was into him physically, and he was really into her physically. And that's fun to see, because you want these people. Obviously, it's supposed to be about more than the aesthetic, but it helps a lot when you like your person.
It really does. It just does. Now, one thing that she brought up in the past as well was she introduced the idea that maybe, like, you know, she could be the breadwinner, and then if they have children, then Ram could be the stay-at-home parent.
Marissa she got a little bit of pimp in her. It's making me uncomfortable. Like, she definitely 1,000%. She definitely comes off like, you could be my man and join with my other man, and then we can, you know, be a happy family.
She definitely had that kind of energy.
She even says something in the group. She said something in a group setting like, oh, we can all go to a swingers lounge after this or something. I said,
but she was in the military. They damn with the damn.
I'm just not, like, she just has this type of energy to me where, like, very much so like on the masculine side.
Well, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the like reverse? Well, I don't even want to call it reverse roles. How do you feel about the woman going out and bringing home the bacon and then you being a stay-at-home parent?
I'm not with it.
Why?
Because these type of things come with strings. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm a stay-at-home wife.
What do you mean?
What's the strings?
Yeah, I'm saying these type of things come with strings, right? She gives me, hey, can we try something different tonight? Energy? No, we can't.
Stop.
No, we cannot try nothing different tonight. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like, you never know when the shoe is going to drop. No, don't worry. I work 10 jobs. I'm cool. I've had to grind my whole life. I had to fight. All my life I had to fight.
When I make millions and millions of dollars, you wouldn't stay at home and take care of kids?
Follow
me around like Jay-Z follow Beyonce around?
I have two. Jay-Z is a boss in so many, you know what I mean? Like, most CEOs ain't in the office. You know what I'm saying? True. Jay-Z's running multiple companies while he running around with his wife. He has multiple million-dollar operations. Literally, he has multiple million-dollar operations going on. That would be me. Because also my brain is, I have too much of a creative brain. You know what I mean? Okay. Like, I got we got a TV show that we need to write the goddamn thing for right now that we talked about the other day. It's on my list of things to do. So I'm never going to be like, just like, not there mentally. It's just who I am. But also this stuff come with strings. She's at one point, mark my words, at one point in the season, she gonna hit him with, over. Hey, that's when I'm out. You can do this on your own.
Stupid. So how do you feel about them being affectionate?
I'm not gonna lie.
Is that a red flag?
I just want people to be them. Mm-hmm. Don't force it. Don't force it in your individual life. Don't force it in your romantic life. If y'all got chemistry like that, go with it. Huh. I think they gave me that they already had sexual chemistry when they was in the pods, and then they saw each other and was super into each other. You know what I mean? To me, I was surprised that they had already got it in. I was
surprised too. Like, they got it in
early. Like, they had barely put their bags down and got to the goddamn.
But you know how it is when you're on vacation.
But I know how it is when you're into your partner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm with it. Like, you know what I mean? It's a natural occurrence. Me and her was in a place where we couldn't stand each other, but when we seen each other, it was on and popping. You know what I mean? If you're just, sometimes that's just the vibe. Like, if you're that into each other physically, I get it. And sometimes you just have that sexual chemistry with somebody who it's like, it don't even matter. I could hate you down to the socks right now, but still come over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so more power to you, because also that is not common. You know what I mean? Some people have to work at just even getting to the part where they are physically attracted, especially in these situations. Getting to the part where they're physically attracted to each other takes work. Which is
not an issue, y'all.
It's not an issue at all. But sometimes you're blessed where you like off the rip, oh, I want her bad.
Yeah.
Vice versa. So I think that more power to you. I love it. I love to see
I want you bad.
And
I got to start acting like it a little bit more.
Yeah, you do, because I'll be waiting.
I don't be doing it enough. I got to do a little bit more. Let's talk about Monica and King T'Challa, aka Steven. Y'all, so let me tell y'all the truth. I watched this with dry context on the first.
Not dry context.
Because that matters. That matters on how I saw this man. The first 4 episodes, I watched this with dry context, right? 3. And then I came back to the second half and then watched it with like clean, clear, juicy context. So this man is Steven. Steven's an electrician. He's also was in the military, which also by proxy makes him a Trump supporter. He grew up, and all the military people, not too much. I'm not saying it. The people said it, okay? He literally said that. Something like, he kind of alluded to that, right? Like groupthink.
I mean, it's a thing. For as somebody who's been very much so military adjacent just because of my profession, it's a thing.
Yes. So in the past, I thought Steven talked too much. You remember I told you? He uses too many words. But now I'm thinking, me and Joe talked about this. It must just be hard to talk to a screen.
Well, I think talking specifically to Monica is hard.
Oh, you think?
And I think that Steven very much so felt I have to carry the conversation. Because once they got to the honeymoon, or whatever you want to call it. Once they got to Mexico, you can tell that she doesn't give a lot. At one point, she told him to shut up and then didn't speak. Do you want him to shut up? Or like, she literally was like,
oh my God, that was so weird. She literally was
like, I can't get a word in. And then he was like, okay. Literally, he was just like, okay. And then she was like, so now they're just sitting in silence. Like, if you have something to say it.
Yeah.
Don't tell the man to shut up and then not have nothing to say. So I think in the past, he felt like, hey, he has to carry the conversation.
So y'all not gonna. I like Monica, right? And outside of this process, maybe
I don't know about that.
So let me finish my thought.
Go ahead.
I think outside of this process, I would like Monica more. But my truth is, she is more shallow than she is letting on. Mm-hmm. And by shallow, I mean, shallow may be the wrong word. She's not being honest about what she values. Yes. Let me say that. And she values looks a lot, which is weird because why would you come on the show where you can't see the person?
Called Love is Blind.
And she also values, finances and, obviously being able to protect and provide. So she's not too much on her for that. But the truth is, to come into something like this and expect to meet someone like that is also really fascinating to me as well. Like, you want to meet somebody fine and with money, and you thought the place to do it was on Love is Blind.
I think we bearing the lead. I'm hesitant on Monica because she's racial and not in a good way.
What's the girl, the sports commentator that's black?
Sage Still.
So this is okay.
And she's giving Sage Still, and if you don't know who Sage Still is, Google her.
So when I tell y'all I watched this with dry context, let me give you some more context. So this man proceeds to tell a story of how he thought he was Italian, right? And then come to find out he does his 23andMe, and he ain't nobody's Italian, okay? He don't even got like Italian sausage, all right?
He's blackity black.
He is big black, not the little black, okay? Which is why he's going to Wakanda and the rest of us are not. And Monica don't even want to be there, okay?
Monica does not want to be in Wakanda. And she made it very clear, and that's when I say I'm hesitant on her, that's why.
So when you have to go through, like, I can say, like, okay, my family's West Indian, but we're black, full stop, right? We black people. We are culturally black, obviously have some other stuff, but we're black. I look black. I identify as black. It's nothing else. It was given 4th grade. No, I'm not black. My granny is Cherokee Indian. And that's not something that I'm making up. That is something that this woman said out of her mouth. You know what I mean? Like,
but also, with her being half black and half Honduran,
she's black.
You are bliggity black.
You're big black, not the little one.
So for her to be like, oh, well, I'm actually part Indian instead, because they were in an exchange about his story, which his story was very prevalent. Like, he almost comes across as like an albino black man.
In dry context, I thought this man was white. I literally, when he said that he was black, wasn't I coming at him hard? I'm like, this mother. And then when I cleaned my context and watched the next episode, I said, oh my God, Joe.
Yeah.
He is black.
No, when you see him, he has super light skin with all the black features, right? And so when they were having this exchange in the pods, and then he says, I found out that, I'm mostly West African and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, oh, well, I'm actually, part Indian. But then it wasn't even that.
Wait, but you just stopped and it freaked me out. I'm like, what happened?
She said she was part Indian.
She did.
And said that it annoyed me.
Oh,
that's why I stopped.
You scared me.
But it wasn't even that. It was when they got to Mexico and they were in a circle talking about stuff. And she says something. She makes a point to say something to the effect of, oh, I'm glad you're only part black. I'm like.
Or did he say that about her?
No, she said that. She was like, oh, I'm so glad you're only part black. And then they actually said, oh, yeah, because I'm glad that you're only 10% or something. It was something weird. And I was just like, why would she say that? That's crazy. But you're a black woman.
Not only are you a black woman, there is nothing about you that's not giving black woman, okay?
Like not even a little bit.
I mean, nothing. There is nothing about you that is not giving black woman. You don't even look Hispanic. If we're being
you don't
honest.
even look like you have to tell somebody. You know what I mean? Like, for
and
her,
Hispanic in the white sense, not Hispanic in the black people sense.
And I understand that might be a big part of her, identity. That half, like that Honduran half or whatever. You know what I mean?
But they are black people.
They are. I was about to say.
Like if you Google,
they are black people. What's wrong?
Go ahead.
They are black people. I actually used to date a girl who was half Honduran, half black.
And she was black.
She was black. You know what I mean? And even
could speak Spanish.
And she could. And even with all of the Honduran, they did all the things, all the cultural things, but they at no point did anybody or anyone in her family ever was, oh, well, we part. Like, it just was weird. The commentary that she gave to almost distance herself from her blackness is what gave me pause about her. I just didn't like it. And then the comment in Mexico really took me over there.
I think it's that. I think it's the fact that she allowed this grown, funny-looking ass man to call her a mutt. And then she laughed about it like, yeah, I'm a mutt. Like, excuse me, lady, he just compared you to a dog. But what that says to me, if we're being honest, is that you're used to being in relationships with white men, specifically white men who speak to you like that. Because
the commentary in Mexico gave, oh, I was hoping that you were white. I'm glad that you're only a little bit black.
Y'all gonna have to correct us if we wrong, because I don't think he said that. I thought he said it.
No, she said it. I was watching.
But then the scariest thing about him is that this is a black man, y'all, who was raised fully white.
And you can tell.
It makes me so uncomfortable, the things that this man says out his mouth. And when we talk about the diaspora and the spectrum of blackness and the index for that, right? Like all these different identities. This is not even one that I even think about because it's so icky to me. Because like he really identifies as a white man, so much so that I believe he took the test not to affirm that he was black, but to affirm to other people that he was white.
I honestly think that's what happened.
He was tired of talking about it.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm a white guy. Like, I think that's literally what was happening.
And now he buying books about his African side? What the bleep is going on?
But then her to constantly bring that up. That's racial. Like, why are you constantly... Oh, he went and bought his granddad an African book, and I thought that was so sweet.
Excuse me, you don't live in the fucking world? Like, you don't live in the world where black people exist? Why do y'all need to act like y'all gotta read books to get to know black people better when you live in the world?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm assuming that they will get to the point of having the wedding, because I think they like each other. I think I would be shocked.
I'm not sure she likes him.
To see multiple black women on her side of the aisle. I'll be shocked if I see one. So she gives that. It really didn't surprise me.
But this is also DC. So there is a particular type of black woman in DC as well. You got to think. We're talking about the upper echelon of...
Yes. And I'm saying that I would be shocked to see if she even has black girlfriends. I would be shocked to see it. Because she gives like... Because people who are authentically black don't ever feel like, I got to tell you... Oh, well, I got some white in me, too. That's weird. Who says that?
Who would even say that? Who would even say that? If I told y'all how much white I got in me, y'all would be so surprised. Just based on my mama. But who would say that? Who would say that?
And I don't even remember. I did the test. I don't even remember.
Oh, y'all black. Y'all big black, not the little one.
Y'all
didn't have any.
My point is, the only thing I remember is the blackness part of it. If I do have it in me, I don't remember what it was.
No.
I just remember Sierra Leone and the Ivory Coast. And I only remember the black part.
Y'all did not have any. Like, I would almost be surprised to see if you were a part of a population of black people, Africans that were not colonized. Because y'all did not have...
I don't feel colonized. I feel superior. I feel superiorly black. Okay.
Joe, that was hilarious. Makes sense.
When I wake up in the morning, I feel like superiorly black.
I don't feel colonized.
I feel 100% black.
Okay.
I've always felt that way.
That was hilarious. We are going to be breaking this episode up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Okay. And we'll see you beautiful mother jumpers later.